It is time for one of the most anticipated PlayStation 3 games of 2013 to be played. This is The Last of Us. It is out now. Ben, this wowed everybody last year at E3. Does it wow you now that you've been playing it?
Absolutely. How does it not? Look at this game. Look at this thing in action.
It's not a movie.
No.
That's a game.
I'm just going to go out and say it. This is, I think, the most beautiful video game I've ever seen in my life in terms of with my eyes, both of them. Well, you know, post-apocalyptic zombie-like games are kind of played out, and I think we're all a little burnt out with those kinds of games. So The Last of Us comes in with a lot to prove, because that's essentially what you've got here. This tells the story of Joel and Ellie, two survivors of some sort of big, terrible, global epidemic. We're not going to tell you exactly what it is, but suffice to say, much of the population are turned into these infected zombie-like creatures, and then the rest of the population are roving bands of survivors. Not all of them nice. Yeah, there are a bunch of them.
It's coming after you, this game. It doesn't matter where you go.
This ain't your turf, man!
This is a totally bleak, brutal, unapologetic world. There's nothing nice and shiny about this game.
This is all kinds of violent.
It's brutal.
I mean, there's some moments in this game where you're running up at a guy and you have like a lead pipe in your hand, and just the way that Joel or Ellie will just smash them in the face, it's so satisfying to get to see how they react. It's not like the same candid animation over and over again.
Well, to your point about the brutality, this is a game that sometimes is a little hard to deal with. Like, you're murdering people in very vicious, very realistic ways. There's something so gritty about this, but what I think is so brilliant in The Last of Us is that it doesn't just rely on those moments to be great. What the game does is it has a beautiful pace where it goes back and forth between these very intense, very graphic, violent moments of action, and then tons of, I would just say, negative space where they let the game breathe, they let you kind of take in everything that you just did, and they have a lot of very quiet moments.
That's a giant ram. You guys were like some idol worshippers.
I just love the way that they have so many tiny, beautiful details in this world. You discover lots of little collectibles.
With all the objects you have to pick up, with notes that you read from people.
There's a lot of that, and you can play through the game a couple times if you want. Now, it takes about 15 hours to get through the single player, and just for the record, we're only talking about the single player. There is a multiplayer element to The Last of Us as well, but we played this game before it came out, so we don't have an opportunity to really see what it's like online. That'll come in the
Me
later
versus
review.
Ben isn't very fun.
The thing about the enemies, and another thing that I think The Last of Us does so well, is even those are steeped in reality. You don't suddenly fight giant Resident Evil 47 tentacled monstrosities. The enemies all seem like logical evolutions of this plague and how this plague has affected humanity. So you do fight a couple different enemy types. They don't have a huge variety in enemies. The clickers, who are blind, are just an incredible enemy that you have to deal with. They're great. You love them. You love them.
I hate them.
You hate
God,
them.
I'm so frustrated.
You love them because you hate them. That's why you love them.
And just, and then they just, and then you get those damn bloaters that come up and they just like, pull your face off. It's like,
It's amazing.
yes.
Just those moments, those encounters are really special because there's a lot of different ways to go about it. You can stealth your way through. You craft, you know, smoke bombs and other kinds of items that can help you get through. I did find, though, that if there is a problem with The Last of Us, it's in some of those mechanics. Some of those combat mechanics aren't dialed in the way they are in some other action games. For instance, you do a ton of sneaking, but you don't really lock into cover very well.
Up against the wall.
Well, one gameplay concession they made here is that Ellie or any other companion that you happen to be traveling with won't actually be seen by the AI. So even though they're standing maybe right in front of a guard, the guard won't just start firing at them. And what I like about that is it keeps the game from devolving into a "why is my AI such an idiot" problem. Well, let's see, you've got incredible graphics, amazing voice work, terrific script, awesome, scary, beautiful world. This is an awesome game. You've got to get it if you own a PlayStation 3. Don't be crazy. The apocalypse starts now. I'm giving The Last of Us a 9 out of 10.
I'm giving it a 9.5.
Apocalypse, wow.